Good morning. Haiti Oropesa with Florida U Judge, and I hope everyone is having a great morning. We have a great guest on with us shortly, Nicole Pearlman. She is running for Pinellas Circuit Judicial seat, Group 9, and she's with us this morning. She's going to tell us about her candidacy, and I'm going to bring her on now.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning. And so tell us a little bit about you.
So I have been practicing now in law for over 16 years. It's my true passion. I've wanted to do it since I was a very little girl. I started at the 6th Judicial Circuit as a prosecutor. While I was there, I was in and out of the courtroom every day, doing calendars, handling motions, and above all, trials. When I worked at the state attorney's office, it was very trial forward, I guess you could say. I did about 60 trials almost in the 4 years that I was there. I handled everything from misdemeanor possession charge up to punishable by life charges. Very minor to very serious offenses across the gambit. My last year that I was there, I actually had the sex trial calendar because that's how they did it back when I was at the state. One person in the division handled it, and I handled it when I was there my last year. Very, very draining, very hard work, but rewarding. I loved it. I loved being a prosecutor. I loved seeking justice. I loved everything about it, and doing the right thing. But I knew that I wanted to be a judge, and I felt it was a responsibility of mine to be knowledgeable in all areas, because criminal is just a very small section of what a judge could be responsible for. So I went to private and I started doing family law, and I've been doing that for about 12 years now. I've handled hundreds of thousands of cases. I'm known as the trial attorney because I was a prosecutor, and I do a lot of trials for family law. So I tend to do more family law trials than other attorneys just because that's what I'm known for. But I love working with these families. The reality is I do a lot of child custody. I see everything. It's sad. It's hard, but I'm good at it. So I help the families get to the finish line, because from my experience and what I've seen is, as long as these families are in litigation, their families are going to continue to be torn apart, and it's bad. And so they start healing once the litigation's done. So the trick is to get them through the system as efficiently and amicably as possible. And so I've been doing that for a long time. I've also, in this 12 years, I've also helped my firm with our civil litigation. I've done personal injury cases. I've done it all. And so it was really important to me to do it all in order to be well-rounded for when eventually I decided to be a judge, which is why I'm running now.
And so I just went ahead and I put on some photos of your family. Lee Pearlman, he's also a well-respected, very well-liked attorney here in this area. I every now and again, I ran into him this week. We were in court, and your beautiful boys.
Yes.
Also, so you're you're super busy all the time. I know you're busy. You have a family, you have a business. Not only have a business as an attorney, but you also have a business here in Pinellas, Romp and Roll. Tell us about that.
Roll. Yeah. So when I was actually pregnant with my second son, I left a couple months early for maternity leave to spend some time with him before the new baby came. And I discovered that at the time, there wasn't really anything in St. Pete that offered indoor mommy and me classes. I was actually driving to Tampa, and Lee, my husband, he was making fun of me. He's like, "You're driving 30 minutes each way for a 40-minute class. What is wrong with you?" And I told him, I go, "There's nothing in St. Pete." And he didn't believe me. And then he looked and saw that there was really nothing. So he's like, "Oh, we have to we have to bring this to the community. And he felt it was our responsibility. So we did. And I mean, it was very trying because, you know, he, like you said, he's an attorney too. And he told me, you're going to love it. You're going to get it off the ground and run it. So while I was juggling infant, a newborn, and a toddler, I was working with the city, getting permitting passed. I was, you know, calling the fire chief to get codes for the fire inspections passed. I was building the scenery for the gym. I was painting the gym. I was doing everything to get it off the ground for that year. And we did. And everyone loves it. I hear every day from random people, oh my gosh, you're the owner of Romp and Roll. We love that place. And it was a great thing we were able to bring to the community. I'm fortunate that I have a big family. So my sister at the time was a preschool teacher. So I brought her in, and she runs the day-to-day and the staff and the everyday things like that. And people can't say enough great things about her. It's great. And I still have a hand. I do all the taxes. I do all the payroll and the finance, and that's just me. So I'll do that at night. But, you know, I love it. I think it's a great thing we have that we were able to bring. And I think that it's great for me, especially it's an extra skill that I bring to the bench because I know how to juggle very wide and lots of people, like lots of different personalities. I've done it for a while. I know how to do payroll. So I know how to keep track and manage large calendars, manage large caseloads, because I went back to work as an attorney. So I was doing both of these things. So I'm very good at putting in the hard work that needs to be done. And
there's no doubt that your work ethic is through the roof, and so is Lee's. And so not only um are you speaking to the fact that you're going to be able to manage all those duties, responsibilities that a judge would have to do, but also you gained, I'm sure, some experience and knowledge of I don't know, you're well rounded. We spoke about that earlier before you came on. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but the fact that now you have some experience as a business owner and
yes,
what it entails, some of the workings, even legal things that have to be done related to the opening up of a business and all that, you've gained that already as well. I wanted to talk to you. I asked you this before I went, and in preparation to have this conversation. This platform is something, I don't make any money from this. It's a civic offering, because I was tired of every year having friends and loved ones ask me, who are these people on the ballot that are running for judge? Okay. And I have no idea. And they would look to me, and I thought, wow, there's really not I wanted to put something out there to give the ability to the voters to learn more about judges that they always told me I don't know anything about it. And so that's why I do this. But so I did find it very incredibly interesting. You already spoke about the fact that not only you have experience background as a prosecutor, but also that you have a special thing for family law. That is a very important, for many reasons, family law court, because of the impact that it has on families and on kids. So, and it's sad, some of the things that happen when a family decides that they want to divorce and the children are impacted. So it's so important. We need people that know to do that area well, that know the law, and they're going to make right decisions. Okay?
yeah.
Because there's a emotional, psychological impact. So you want to be in that, assigned that division, and that's great, because I don't really see that there. I don't know that there's a lot of candidates that want to be put in the family law. Can you speak to
Yeah.
that?
So most of the people that want to be judged, not all, but a majority of them really like crime. They're into crime. They want to be on the crime bench. And because of that, most of our judges want to be on the crime. And there's nothing wrong with that. But family law in itself is very draining, and it's very emotionally taxing. And I mean, I've been doing it for 12 years. And so I kind of have a whole system of how I deal with it. But it is very hard for a person, because judges are people. It's hard for a person to, become a judge. And then the first thing in our county, at least circuit, they're put immediately on the family law bench. And a lot of them have no experience with it. They've dealt with crime. I've dealt with crime. I get it. It's a very different feeling dealing with a murder than it is dealing with these kids that are being tossed around from home to home. It's very different emotional, it hits you differently. And so it's really hard when they take the bench and they're dealing with this. A lot of them don't want to be there. And I mean, the Supreme Court even issued an opinion about how we should be handling the courts for family law, and how, we should be putting judges into family law that want to be there, that, they're not just, trying to get in and out and then trying to get over to the crime bench. And it's so important that you have someone, in my opinion, at least for practicing for 12 years, you have someone that knows not only the law. Yes, everybody could read the statute and learn the law. It's two statutes basically that you're dealing with. It's not like time consuming in that, but it's knowing the ins and outs of the tools that you could use for these families, like the parenting coordinators and the guardians, and there's so many different things that the therapies, the play therapies, there are so many tools that family law courts can use depending on the case. And so I think it's important that the person that is going to sit on a family law seat is familiar with these and knows where they're coming from and knows how to use them, because they are so beneficial to these families, and it really makes a difference.
Listen, there's no doubt that you're a problem solver. I admire the fact that you wanted a place that to take your kids that Lee thought, what are you doing? Da, 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 da. And you guys problem solved and said and then you not only did you do that for you, but you did it for families that reside here that needed that same service. And you guys worked hard to get that done. Good morning, Gretchen. Thank you for tuning in. So congratulations on that. That's a great story, by the way, and for the success that it's had since you started it. Talk to the voters about the dates, the current dates that right now we have to be mindful of for voting in the counties.
So even some of my friends who have been here with me for the past year, they're like, yes, November. And I'm like, no, not November, now. Mail-in ballots, absentee ballots have already gone out in Pasco and Pinellas County. And for judges, they're nonpartisan. So they're on everybody's ballot, and we're on the primary. We're in the primary election, which is August 20th. But people could start voting already. So I received my mail-in ballot. I'm not mailing in my ballot this term. I'm actually going in person to vote because it's a special one for me. But people are already voting. There are already mail-in ballots that have been returned. So now is the time to vote. If you haven't requested a ballot, I think you could still have time to request a ballot to get it in time, but people don't realize that they had to request a ballot again. So people are probably waiting for their mail-in ballots, and they're not going to get one because the law changed, and they have to go in and re-request every few years or every couple of years. And so if you haven't gotten your mail-in ballot yet, and you usually vote by mail-in ballot, it's probably because you didn't request it, and you have to go to your local election site for either Pinellas or Pasco and request it. But other than that, their early polls, the early voting polls, are going to be opening also August 10th through the 18th. So you could go in person. If you look at your local site, it will have there's 4 in Pinellas, I believe, and a couple in Pasco that are open between the 10th and the 18th, or the 10th and the 18th to go and vote. And then your last chance, very last chance to vote, would be in person on August 20th.
Okay, so again, just so that everybody goes and exercises their ability to vote for a judge in where they reside. Very important. Judges, it's sad that some people just ignore that part of the ballot, but it's very important. And so again, her race, Nicole's race, will be decided August 20th. Okay,
Right.
she's running against someone else, and later on, her opponent is going to be on at two or 2 o'clock. Yeah, today you'll be able to hear from her too. But again, Nicole, if they are waiting for a mail-in ballot, they have to call to see if there's still time for them to request one. If not, then they have to go in person. August 10th to the 18th. There'll be one day that you can't do anything, and then you go on the 20th to vote in person.
Right. And the 20th will have lots more polling sites. Your regular polling site will be open and you could go and vote then. But if you're trying to vote in person earlier, they are open for that time period, just more condensed. I think there's 4 last time I checked in Pinellas. And so you would just look to see which one you could go to and vote there. But a lot of people aren't going to vote, or they're not wanting to vote because they think that the primary's already decided. So what does it matter? So what it's called is the down ballot, and it's school board members and judges, and there's an amendment on there, and there's a couple primary selections for senators and things like that as well on the ballot. So it's still so very, very important that people do vote in the primary.
So I'm sharing a screen, your website's the screen of your website. Nicole Pearlman, if you want to, I'm gonna go ahead and in just a second share the address, the website address,
Yes.
to Nicole's website, her campaign website. So you can learn more about her. But I'm on the endorsements page, and she has like over 100 local attorneys, and that's an impressive endorsement list.
Thank you.
In addition to persons in office that have been in office, that are respected, that have also endorsed her, like Ken Burke. We have the
Yes.
local public defender Sarah Molo, has endorsed her. Chris Latvala. We have former Speaker of the House Chris Sprouse, the Honorable Linda Allen, who I practiced in front of,
I
Division
did
I.
too.
I was a public defender, and she was a great judge. Love her,
I did
and
several family law trials in front of her.
really, really, yeah,
Hmm.
she's amazing, and so impressive. Your endorsement list is very impressive. I'm going to go ahead in the comment section. I'm going to paste the address for your website so that the viewers, the voters, there it is on the screen, www.pearlman4judge.com. It's also, if you go after, when this broadcast is done, if you go on to the broadcast in the comment section, you'll be able to hit the link and go directly there. Is there anything else that you're ready to hit the ground running, it sounds like?
I am. And I think it's also important. So a lot of people have asked me, you're a private attorney, you make your own schedule. Why are you, becoming a judge? You're going to have a boss to answer to, which you don't have now. You know, you're going to have to work double what you're probably working now. And why? And I have always had a calling for public service. I have been giving to this community for years. Children, especially, are my soft spot. So I got involved with giving to, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, the Lift Academy. It's a school for only neurodiverse children. I've been donating to that school for years. I think I love their message. I've gotten involved in the foster care kids. That's really important to me. They don't get to pick their situation in life, and so I've contributed to Suncoast Voices. I'm on the advisory council for the Heart Gallery. I've given to Hero to a Child, but it's so much more than that. I'm in my Rotary. I volunteer frequently. I was just working this morning, actually, before the show, cleaning out a cabin to get it ready for foster kids at the Sheriff's Youth Ranch. And foster kids and children and families are my passion. And so I've always tried to give back. In the Rotary, they say it's your treasure, your talent, and your time. And I try to do all three. I've been doing it for years. This community is very important to me, and being a judge is a calling for me. And I feel like I want to take everything that I am, everything that I've talked about on the show today, and bring it to the bench. I have the right demeanor. I have the right compassion, but firmness to be fair to everyone that appears in front of me. And I just want to continue with public service in a new direction.
You know what? And I believe you. I believe you. The fact that you want to be in family, I believe I can feel your passion. And I'm moved that it's a lot of that is because of your care for children. That
It,
so yeah,
the most
that's a
important
huge
thing.
plus for the bench. That you're right. It is a rarity. I Before we came on, I asked you about that. You're asking like be assigned to the family law bench. That's not a normal thing. Candidates
Right.
don't. And so the fact that you want to be there because you can sense that you really love family law.
And I do. And it is my passion. And I think the beauty about me as a candidate though is that it doesn't matter where the court puts me. So they could put me anywhere and I have the knowledge already. I'm not going to be learning as I go. I know how to manage. I know how to manage my household. I mean, you said it. My husband's a defense attorney locally, and he's all over the place. I have my 2 kids. I'm their den leader. So even with everything that I do personally, I've always strived to make it my mission that my kids get the same amount of time. So no matter how busy I get, I never take that time for my kids. So I'm still the den leader for their Cub Scouts. I still go to all their soccer games too. So I'm still doing everything for them, but it's just we have so much time in a day, right? And I don't need to sit and watch TV. I'd rather go do something else. So that's just me.
You know what? Look, you don't have to convince me on your work ethic and Lee's work ethic. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not suggesting that you wouldn't like any other. I believe that you have a passion for service. You want to serve the community. And you know what? A lot of people might not know this, but the fact that someone runs for office, you guys have a successful law firm.
Yes.
And so you are going to take a pay cut to serve. That's the truth. I want the viewers to understand that when you like, people have asked me, why don't you do this? I'm like, no, I like my gig. I like the freedom. I don't have, right? That's the truth.
Yeah.
So you are going to you can make more money not being a judge. So anyways, if there's,
I am fortunate. I do have to say, I am fortunate. I acknowledge that I am able to do this and I am able to pursue my dream and my passion because I do have such a supportive teammate in my husband. And so he picks up the slack where I need to take it and refocus. So he picks up the slack financially where I'm taking and refocusing somewhere else. So I do want to acknowledge that I have a very supportive teammate, partner, and husband, and I couldn't do it without him.
You know what? You are blessed for sure. In so many ways, it's very obvious and evident that you've been blessed. You as a person, as a human, you've been blessed. And so, anyways, I wish you well. I wish you the best in this race. I don't like to make endorsements or recommendations, but you sound like an amazing candidate. I would urge the voters to vet everybody and to make a good selection based on your research. Do you want to leave the voters with any last words before we wrap up?
No, just that experience, I believe, matters. And please look into my credentials, ask around. I have a very great reputation in this community for being well prepared, always, for being respected and extremely ethical. That's it.
Okay, so thank you so much for those of you who tuned in. Please share because voting has started. Thank you, Nicole, for joining me this morning to inform the voters.
Yes, ma'am.
We will be back at 1:00. I have another judicial candidate in a different race, and then back at 2. We'll see you soon.